Welcome back to the channel. My name's Adam Smith, and today we're diving into gameplay for Warleague, which is landing on Kickstarter in the near future and should be in sync with the release of this video. You'll also find the campaign page link in the pinned comment and video description if you want to check it out. And also, I did a how to set up and a prototype unboxing for this one already. I'll put a link to both videos in the top right hand corner if you want to check them out. The how to set up video went over everything here you can see on the table and how I got things set up for this mission we're about to play in a solo fashion. And also, if you haven't checked out the prototype unboxing, it shows you all the components that came as part of the prototype, which are subject to change and not final. You get to see them all up close, even the stuff that's not here in this gameplay video. Now, before I begin this mission called Spiders Everywhere, we're going to learn a little bit more about the character we're controlling, Malik. Beneath the sky choked with neon haze, Earth has become one endless metropolis, towering spires of steel and glass that blot out the sun, feeding megacorps whose names are whispered only in boardrooms far above the impoverished slums. In the alleys below, billions live without hope of daylight, their lives bartered to fuel corporate conquests on distant worlds. Governments exist only as hollow shells, puppets dancing to the tune of shadowy conglomerates that stripped each colony dry of resources, then cast off the broken planets in search of the next prize. Malik was bred into this system as one of the protectors. The elite Enforcer Corps granted immunity and unchallenged authority to crush and secure new worlds for the Megacorp's endless hunger. Even as he rose to their ranks, Malik's conscience rebelled against the brutality he meted out. His turning point came when he crossed paths with Admiral Hakim, leader of the clandestine peacekeepers, who saw Malik a rare spark of integrity. Under Hakim's tutelage, Malik learned to conceal his doubts behind a silent facade, honing his mind and spirit for a larger struggle. But when the peacekeepers were exposed and torn apart by corporate counterattacks, Malik found himself cut loose, commanding a lone frigate on a deep space mission that would isolate him from friends and mentors alike. Cornered by ruthless collectors, mercenaries who sold captured champions to the arena, he chose the ultimate sacrifice, surrendering himself to Legion to spare his crew, sealing his fate within the unending bloodbath of the arena. Now, before we begin the gameplay, let's talk about the card here in the center. Top left, we have health at 20. The icon relates to the icon you can see here. We've set it to 20 in the setup video. Underneath of that, we have the armor. So he's got 10 armor. That is going to be knocked away as the spiders attack us. And then eventually that armor will no longer be there. And then it's going to go straight through to our health. You'll see action points underneath that at 5. On the right-hand side of the card, starting at the very top, a 4 for active abilities. He doesn't currently have any active abilities as per the setup video, but I'm going to actually give him one right now so we have one to use, and I can show you how it works as we go through gameplay. So he's going to have an active ability, this one here, the Fast Loader. It says, quickly reloads the revolver and fires twice in rapid succession, using only the ability's action point and anger cost, ignoring the weapon's standard cost. This again ties into this weapon right here, Dark Steel. Next up, we have another 4 and another icon, and that represents how many active items that I have, and I actually have 4. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all considered active items. You also have your inventory, and for action points, you can interact with it, pulling from it into your hand, essentially, where you're carrying your weapons, or you can actually bring other things in to be active, but the rest will be sitting in your inventory off to the side. For the purposes of this video, though, I don't have anything in my inventory whatsoever. Everything is active and good to go. And then the weight capacity at 100, making sure that nothing that you have is over your weight capacity. Again, things have weight in this game, so you cannot carry beyond that. As we discussed moments ago, I've got 5 action points, and this is my very first round to play. So I'm going to go ahead right now and deal with the spider that's sitting beside me. Now, I have ranged weapons, which is very handy. This weapon right here, Darkstorm, can actually shoot at range 5 away. The little triangle icon tells us this. Dark Steel over here also can shoot from 3 away. Now, from where I'm currently standing, when you're drawing line of sight, you're going to draw it from the center of the hex that you're in to the center of the hex that you're shooting to. And as long as, if you're going through, like, let's say, for instance, this line right here, as you're heading towards the center of that hex, you're going through a line in between 2 hexes. As long as one of those 2 hexes is open, then that line of sight can be drawn through. So in this case, well, it's quite obvious. I can definitely shoot to that location. I need to decide which weapon to shoot with. I can choose Darkstorm. It'll cost me 3 action points, or Dark Steel will cost me 2 action points, so I can think about how I'm using my action points over the course of my turn to decide which one I should use. In this case, both will reach based on the range as I mentioned. Now, how damage actually works is in the top left-hand corner of both the cards. You're going to see an icon, and you'll see, in this case for Darkstorm, 4, 6, and 8. Basically, how it breaks down is if you roll a 1 or a 2 on a d6, that's going to be considered low damage, and you'll get 4 damage against the enemy. enemy. If you end up with a 3 or 4 on the die, you're going to do 6 damage, which is considered high damage. If you roll a 5 or a 6, you are now inside of what's known as critical damage. At that point, you're landing 8 damage with this weapon. And again, the same thing applies over here for dark steel. So if I was to roll 1 to a 2, it'd be 2 damage, 3 to a 4 would be 4 damage, and the final 5 or 6 would be 6 damage. On the left-hand side of the NPC cards, very similar to Malik's card we went over, you're going to see the health for that enemy. So the spider that I'm actually going after right now has 6 health, 3 action points when it activates, and of course it follows its own little sequence in terms of what it does for damage. So I need to get 6 damage to pull off a kill here. Let's bring out the big guns. We're going to use Dark Storm. It's going to cost us 3 action points, so I'll drop myself down to 2. And we're going to go ahead and make the roll and see how we do for damage. We got ourselves a 5. That's going to be critical. That's going to be 8 damage. This thing is absolutely dead. When you kill an enemy, you roll a d6. If you land a 6, you're going to see loot drop. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. So let's go ahead and roll the die, see what happens. We got a 1. There's no loot happening. When you kill off an enemy, you're going to reference the card for a small number to see if anger represents itself, and it does here with a 10. You'll see that 10, not the one at the top right here, but right down here. That means we're going to bump ourselves up on the anger track. The small icon you saw on the card relates to the icon you can see on the player dashboard. You simply just bump this up by 10. So our temper state right now is still calm, even though we're getting up there. Once we get to provoked in terms of our anger, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to be gaining 2 health, which will be beneficial for us, plus an additional action point. Speaking of action points, we still have 2 left to spend. Now, with 2 action points left to spend, there is no way I'm going to be able to actually attack one of these 2 fire spiders. We have 1 way back here, 1 way back here. Even if I use my Dark Storm again, I don't have enough action points to do it, but that's the one with the longest range at 5, which is the number just above the action point allotment. So from 5, and with all this cover kind of blocking things, it's not going to happen. What I want to do probably is get out of the way, because these individuals are able to hit me from range. These spiders, the green spiders, they want to get up close and personal, melee-wise, based on their icon here, but these guys have a ranged icon, so they're going to come at me from distance, so I don't want to be anywhere where they're going to get an easy shot on me on their turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of tuck myself, well, I'm wondering if this will make any sense. I'm going to see if I can tuck myself in here, and we'll see how they behave. That's all my action points used up. Now onto the enemy's turn. We'll start off with the fire spider on the far left-hand side. They're always trying to get as close as possible to pull off their attack. In this case, the fire spiders are shooting from range 4, and it costs 2 action points of their allotment of 4 to pull off an attack, which means they'll have 2 for movement if they need to use it, and then 2 to make that attack. So what we'll do is, if we actually had them move 1 and then 2, you're going to see something that actually works out in my advantage here. If they were to attack from that spot right there, there's no way that they could actually hit me, because the line drawn from the middle of the hex to where I am goes directly through cover. There's no way for that to happen. But instead of them moving off like that, he would move this way, 1, 2, and by being here, he's actually able to clear the cover, because the line that gets drawn is going to be beside the cover. It's going to go run along it. It's going to go from center to center, so it absolutely can hit and go straight through. And the reason that this is a-okay is because, again, as it splits between this space right here, there's an adjacent space that is free. Even though this one is full, this one is free, so that line can be seen and he can shoot me from that distance. So my cover was pretty good, but not good enough. And the great thing about the enemies is that they do not roll dice at all on their attacks. Their attacks are already predetermined values, which are right on their card, and it all comes down to the difficulty level you've chosen. So in this case, for the fire spider, you'll see a 3, a 3, and a 4, and these are for the 3 different levels of difficulty, whether it's painless, challenging, or nightmare. I chose painless, so the default value of the attack means it's hitting 3 against me. That's going to hit my armor of 10, reducing it down to 7. As I mentioned in the final version of the game, there'll be a better way to track your armor overall, but for me right now, I'm just using a 12-sided die. I've got it set to 7. Again, once this type of armor, regular armor, is depleted down all the way, there is none left. You can actually recharge it later on. As you play through the campaign, you'll have times where you're able to recharge your armor back up, but it's going to continue to be depleted until it's gone, and then of course everything's going straight through to my health. The next fire spider is going to go ahead, and also there's these red outlined areas, which means we cannot traverse through those lines, and neither can the enemy. So we're going to go ahead and just have them move 1 over, which is easily enough to be able to shoot straight through. As we discussed with the cover before, this will have it go along and straight along the cover, and there's an adjacent empty space right here, so absolutely can take a shot at me, and that's going to be another 3 damage. They're currently enjoying taking their time from distance and destroying my armor. That's going to do it for wave number 1, which we had our gold marker on this row right here. So we're moving it to the second wave. It's going to be an event. It says for all upcoming waves, fire spiders overload, and they're going to gain additional damage and additional range. That's what those icons are. And then it says down here, exploding on death. So they're going to deal 3 explosive damage on top of things. We'll talk more about that. Plus, it's an area of effect. That's what that next one is of 1. So as I kill off these fire spiders, they're going to blow up, doing 3 damage to each of the hexes surrounding them because the area of effect is 1. So it's 1 away from where they're at. If the area of effect was 2, it'd be even wider, or 3, for instance. And that can actually affect the terrain in the game as well. We have cover pieces here that can get destroyed. We have columns that can get destroyed. It can change the line of sight and dynamics of the room. Malik is now ready to take actions, so we're going to go ahead and give him his 5 action point allotment. As I want to kill these things and keep them far away when they explode, I'm going to stay exactly where I'm at and take a shot at the one that's right here. I'm going to use Dark Storm on the left-hand side, so 3 action points to take this shot, dropping me down to 2. Let's go ahead and make the roll and see if we get lucky here. We just need to get ourselves a high damage hit or a critical hit, so either the 6 or 8 will do it to take out... Actually, that's incorrect. The fire spider is 8, so we need a critical hit on this in order to take it out in 1 shot. Here's hoping. So 4 damage marked on the enemy. Now here's the downside. I've got 2 action points left. I'd love to go ahead and use the dark steel weapon, the pistol, to shoot from here, but the range of it is only 3 and it's not enough. The dark storm is 5 and this is only 4 away, so we're easily able to do that, but I cannot pull off a shot with the dark steel right now, so I'm going to have to go ahead and either do some movement with my actions left over to try and get myself in a good position for later on, or potentially kind of hide behind some cover and hope I can avoid some hits. So I'll use my final 2 actions to kind of swing around the cover here, but this is now going to allow the fire spiders to get a clear shot at me. They're going to activate. Closest one here is going to take a shot at me. Unfortunately, with 4 action point allotment, and this thing only needing 2 to fire at me, it's going to do 3 damage, dropping me from 4 down to 1 on my armor. And then the next shot, because it can pull it off with 2 more action points, will take another shot hitting my armor, but now my armor has been completely destroyed, and 2 damage is coming through, knocking me from 20 down to 18. So that fire spider over there didn't even have to move. This one over here doesn't have a clear shot at me, which is beneficial because it will soak up some of its action points trying to get close to me. So it's going to need to move 2 in order to get in range of me, and it has a range of 4, so now it can actually make the shot. It can shoot straight past the cover that's sitting over here, so it's going to do so, and this is going to be another 3 hits coming at me, dropping me down to 15. Not a big fan of that. Moving on to wave number 3, let's find out what's coming out at me. As you can see on the booklet for wave number 3, we're going to have a spider, regular one at C. We're going to have fire spiders showing up in E and F. So 3 spiders total spawning in. All right, so we certainly have a whole bunch of action happening over here on the left-hand side of the game board. Now the good news is I'm in good position now to use my dark steel weapon at a range of 3. I can actually hit this fire spider right here. So let's go ahead and make the roll and see if I can pick it off. We got ourselves a 2, so that's going to be the lowest value of damage, just 2 damage, not enough to take it out. Actually, is it? No, 8 health, so it'll have 6 total damage. And of course, my action points would have been set to 5, and then 2 to make the shot here from the dark steel, so I have 3 remaining. Now, strategically, it would make sense to kill these things off when they're kind of clumped together, as the explosion from their death would then injure other spiders around them, but they're currently not clumped up enough yet to pull that off. I could kind of play the game of putting enough damage on them to get them close to exploding and then killing them off on purpose at certain time frames to do additional damage, but that might be very situational and also open myself up to a lot of attacks. So I got to be careful on that front. To avoid having multiple attacks coming at me from these ones, let's go ahead and actually kill this one off. We'll go ahead and use Dark Steel here, which is going to be a single die roll. Even if I get the lowest value, we'll still take it out. And we got the highest. It ended up being a 6 damage hit. I'm going up on the anger track by 10, which gets us on the cusp of going into the next state of our temper, which will be provoked. Right now, I roll a d6 to find out if any loot is dropping from that spider, and no. Let's be smart and kind of take a step back to kind of keep ourselves away from all the attacks that could come at us, so we'll go ahead and just back ourselves up by 1. The shot, including the move, is also going to drain all 3 action points we had remaining, so at this point now the fire spider is going to activate. The fire spider that's sitting right here activates and starts moving towards me, as it cannot take a shot from where it's currently at. As it moves on top of the loot, it's going to destroy it. It uses 3 action points to get to here to have line of sight on me, but it doesn't have enough action points to actually attack, which is good news. Let's move on to the next one. The next spider closest to me uses the shortest path to get as close to me as possible to be in range of a shot, but it cannot pull it off. It ended up running out of action points. This one comes straight down 4, and you can now see a grouping here, so if I go and target one of these ones, I can actually do potentially damage off to the other one. That could be nice. The regular spider that was up here is going to try to get as close to me as possible, going straight down the center, which means after 2 action points landing on the loot, destroying it, and we'll move 1 more after that. So as you can see, sometimes the loot that you're hoping to get will get gobbled up by the enemies as they move towards you. Now, something interesting about the way that we were just in, the third one that we just resolved there has brackets around it, which is why we spawned everything that was inside this box. But you'll see now that the marker is going to move to 4 right now, which means we're still inside this wave, but there's no spawning. We don't spawn another row of these. We have a few rounds to basically try and clear things out before it ends up moving to the next bundle over here that will spawn more spiders into the fray and even add a new enemy in, a fly. Malik's attention is absolutely pointing at these ones right here as they're clumped up together. I've reset my action points. We'll go ahead and spend 3 right now, as I definitely want to use Darkstorm. We're going to shoot this one right here. It has a range of 5, so I can literally target any of these 3 as they're all within line of sight right now. We're going to go for this one right here and see how it goes. Come on, critical hit. Where are you? Okay, we got ourselves a little bit of a cock die there, so we'll re-roll it as I have to be flat. There we go. Critical hit on this one right here. So that is going to be 8 damage, taking it out, and when it does, it's going to cause 3 damage to everything around it. If it actually impacts cover, it's going to blow that cover up. Absolutely love that. Let's go ahead and make a roll, see if the loot happens, and we'll also increase our anger, which is going to go into the provoked territory. So let's see how the roll goes first for loot. We got ourselves a 6. Hopefully that was rolled on camera. It might have been just a little bit off, but I moved it over. So loot will be showing up for that spider we just killed. That was a nice chain of events, a lot of positive things happening there. So we're going to bump ourselves up to the next temper state, which is provoked, which means we're going to gain 2 health, bumping ourselves from 15 up to 17. And then we're also going to gain another action point, so we go up by 1. Well, that's certainly good news, because guess what's going to happen now? I have the ability to use Darkstorm yet again, my strongest gun. I could go ahead and I could target this one if I wanted to. Now, nothing's really clumped up at this moment. Maybe that's not the right one to use, because it's generally going to be making a 4-ranged attack for me. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It might make more sense to shoot the one closest to me, because then this one would have to travel a bit and it wouldn't be able to take... If I leave that one basically there, it's going to take 2 shots at me. So let's go ahead and try and wipe the closest one out, is what I'm essentially saying. So let's go ahead and roll the die. We'll go ahead and spend all 3 of the action points. Let's see if we can do it. No, this time we did not get as lucky. So we're going to get 4 damage on it. Pretty solid. So not bad, but we're definitely going to be taking some hits back at us. So this one right here can absolutely, unfortunately, shoot us twice. So it's going to do exactly that, using 2 actions for each shot. It's going to hit us for a total of 6. So that drops me down to 11, which is pretty nasty. Now, this one will not be able to reach me as easily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just thankfully 1 extra away. So when it tries to move, it's going to move towards me, and it's going to destroy the loot that literally just dropped, which is unfortunate. And then it's going to shoot me from this position. It won't have any more actions beyond that. So it does hit me for another 3, that one. Pretty solid hit so far against Malik, unfortunately, but I do have some stem packs over here off camera to the right, allowing me to get some healing back. I get up to 10 off both of them, which is pretty solid. Now, the next spider to activate is a regular one. This one only gets 3 action points, but it has to be a melee attack, so it doesn't shoot from range, unlike the fire spiders. So it's basically just trying to get to me as quick as possible. So we'll move it 3. The wave markers move down to the 5th position at this point. We also have 6 action points now, not forgetting that we've gone ahead and increased how many action points we get every turn. So 1 from here being in a provoked state, plus what we always get typically right off our cards. We now have 6. So with all the spiders kind of coming at us as fast as possible, we can go ahead and just start taking shots from here, which is perfect. So we'll use Darkstorm for 3 actions here, and we're going to take a shot here and hope for good things. Let's go for this one right here first. It has 4 damage on it. Let's see if we can take it out. Actually, the weakest hit will allow me to take it out. So yep, that is going to be a 2, means 4 damage. That one has been blown up, and it's going to take down the cover. Let's roll for the loot and see if it happens. We got ourselves a 1, no loot. The good thing is we're thinning things out. One thing I just realized is the fire spiders are actually giving us 20 on the anger track versus 10 for the regular spiders. So that one I just took out is actually giving me a 20 bump. So the one that I took out earlier, which was right here, remember it blew up and dropped a loot and then it got gobbled up by this one? That one I only gave myself 10 for, so technically I have 10 more rage, which means we're actually up into this tier right now. We are actually in the rage state, so we are actually gaining another 3 for our health right now, which is nice, plus another action point. So we should actually have 4 available, and this of course will increase to 11. I'm glad I caught that, so we're all squared away now. We have 4 actions left. Let's go ahead and make a shot at this one here, which already has 3 damage. So in order to kill this thing, we need a 3 or higher on the die roll. Here's hoping that happens. We got ourselves a 6. That's a critical. It is definitely dead at 8 damage. Additional on the 3 is 11. That's also going to be another bump of 20 over here, so we're getting even more enraged. We're now at 90. Will there be loot for taking out that fire spider? Let's find out. We got ourselves a 2. There will not be loot. With 1 action left, let's go ahead and move north. It might seem dangerous, but when the spider activates right now, the one that's left, it has 3 action points. Again, it needs to be melee, so it needs to get right up close to me. It'll use 2 to get right beside me, but with 1 left, it can't pull off its 2 action point attack. So we're moving on to wave number 6. As you can see up here, we got more stuff coming into the fray, but now we have flies. So we're going to have 2 spiders and 1 fly coming in. The spiders are coming in A and E, and the fly at C. Let's spawn in the 3 new creatures in wave 6. At this point, the game's introducing a brand new enemy, so we got to bring the NPC card in for it. The fly is a very unique enemy. It's not only a very strong one, comes in with 12 health, it also has 4 action points, and its main aim is to get as close to you as possible, make an attack, and then fly away. It's annoying just like a fly. We'll get into the details of the behavior card for the fly, but essentially at a high-level summary, it's going to use just 1 action point to move either in an orthogonal or diagonal line as many spaces as possible to be as close to me as possible, and then it's going to use 1 action for every tile after that to get next to me. Then it's going to go ahead and attack me, and then it's going to fly as far as possible away from me for 1 action. So it really moves around the game board and stays out of the way after making an attack. It's also worth mentioning when we take out the fly, we're going to gain a lot of anger, 30. Now, as we're currently in the enraged state, when we gain our action points, we're getting 2 additional beyond the 5. So we have 5 plus 1 for provoked, plus 1 for enraged, which is awesome. Let's go ahead and spend 3 action points. We're going to take a shot at the one that's right next to us here. We're going to use Dark Storm, dropping ourselves from 7 down to 4. Big cost, but it has potential for a big hit. We got ourselves a 4, a solid one. That's going to be 6 damage, and this thing is only 6 health, so it's been killed off. So an extra 10 for our anger track will bring us up to 100. It's worth mentioning something. You'll see icons underneath each of the temper states. And when you have ability cards like this one here, the Dark Steel Fast Loader, it has an icon in the top left-hand corner to let you know once you get to that temper state and above, you're able to go ahead and action this. You can use it if you want. It's going to allow you to go ahead and use a certain number of action points. In this case, you're going to decrease your anger by this much. So to decrease it by 10, you can use it at any time, as many times as you want. So that is going to have this anger track starting to go back down. You have to remember, though, once you start crossing back down over a line, you're going to lose out on the health and the action point. That means you'll lose the 3 health you had. So if you were at 3 health and you transition from enraged down here to provoked, you would actually take yourself out. Now, speaking of health, you'll see up here we have stem packs, and we can use these for 1 action. An active item can be used for 1 action, so we'll go ahead and spend this. It's going to take us down to 3, and it's going to boost our health up by 5. So we're going to jump up from where we're at 11 up to a total of 16, and we'll get rid of 1 of these stem packs. Now, strategically, I'm looking at the 3 actions I have left, and I want to do some movement, but here's the thing. If I start running over here to try to go after these individual spiders, the kicker is the fly can traverse for 1 action point in a straight line as far as it needs to get close to me, and then it will use an action for every other hex it needs to get to me, and then it's going to go ahead and make its attack. So I don't really want to get myself in a position that is going to be within one of those straight either orthogonal lines or any kind of diagonal line that it can travel across for long periods of time for 1 action. So I need to be smart about where I go here. Now, I'm not 100% certain this is the right call, but let's go ahead and spend 3 action points to kind of head northeast. Now, when determining which enemies go first, I've been going ahead with the closest ones and resolving those first, but technically it's supposed to be by the rad value, which is up there in the top right-hand corner, so the fly would actually activate first in this case. So as I mentioned before, it's going to try and take a diagonal line or a straight line to get as close to me as possible. So it'll obviously go diagonal in this case. It's going to go all the way here for 1 action, then to take another action to go here to be adjacent to me. The third action will be to attack. The attack value on the card is a generic 4 no matter what difficulty level it is, so we're taking 4 hits, dropping us from 16 down to 12. Then it's going to fly for 1 action point in the opposite direction of us as far as it possibly can. So it's going to go all the way up here. The other 2 spiders are trying to get as close to me as possible to make their attacks. They can only move 3, so that's all they can do. We're moving on to wave number 7, so we're staying exactly where we're at. No additional spawns at this point in time. We recoup our action points back up to 7. Let's do something different here. We're going to use the Dark Steel Fast Loader. So we take a look at the card and only action the card itself as an ability. So it's going to be 3 action points spent, which will drop us from around at 7 down to 4. It's going to cost us 10 anger, so our track will go backwards 10 anger to 90. And we can use this as many times as we want. And it says right here we do fires twice in rapid succession, so 2 shots back to back. The range is perfect for this because it's 3 range away, and the values for damage are not that high, so that's why I'm doing the rapid shot to see how things go. The first one is a 4, so that's going to be 4 damage, not enough to kill it, and we'll go for another attack here and see if we can take it out, and we got a 3, so it's another 4, so it's definitely dead. That regular spider increases our anger by 10, so we're back up to 100, and we're going to roll now to find out if loot is going to be dropped where it was shot. Nope. Now, Malik definitely wants to try and take a shot at this fly because it is only 5 spaces away, which is perfect for my Dark Storm rifle. It's going to cost 3 action points, drop me from 4 down to 1. We'll make a big shot, and hopefully we get a really good hit against this fly. We got ourselves a 4, which is solid at 6 damage. 6 damage on the fly is pretty solid. If it's 12 health, we have a 5 token and a 1 token to denote that. It's also worth mentioning with 1 action remaining, we'll go ahead and spend it and use the last stim pack in order to bump our health up by 5. So that puts us back to 16, but unfortunately now it is time for the enemies to act. So we're going to go ahead with the fly first, who's easily with 1 action be able to come flying in and take an attack against us. Now, I believe this is how the fly is acting. So essentially with 4 action points to spend, 1 action point gets it to here, 1 action point will attack me for 4 damage. Then we'll use a 3rd action point to go backwards. It doesn't have enough to come back and do another hit, but 4 damage going against me. So I'm back down to 12 damage now, and this spider right here is going to move to try to get close to me. So 1, 2, and 3. So we're now moving into wave number 8, and we don't have any more spawns at the moment, but we don't have any more med packs to use in any way, shape, or form. So we only have 12 health, and we have to hope that that's enough to get us to a success at the end of this mission. We are right on the cusp of getting into the Wrathful category, which has a number of bonuses across the bottom here, which look awesome. As you can see, once we get to Wrathful, there's a whole bunch of icons in the bottom here. So essentially, it's an increase of damage to melee on the far left and range on the far right, plus an additional action point and an additional 5 health. We definitely need this. I think for this turn, it makes perfect sense to keep on attacking the fly, as it seems to be the most painful. And then if we have any actions remaining, we can make a quick attack here on this weaker spider. Let's use the Darkstorm Rifle here to take a shot at the fly. So it's going to be 3 action points, dropping ourselves from 7 down to 4 remaining. Let's go ahead with a die roll here, hoping for a critical hit. That would be awesome. Oh, we got one at a 5. That's going to be a total of 8 damage, which is more than enough to take down the fly. Now remember that the fire spiders are the only ones that are going to explode, so this one just simply dies. Let's roll a d6 and find out if loot is here, and it is. That's awesome news. Maybe we can actually go after this thing before an enemy takes it out this time. And we're also going to gain 30 on our anger track, which pushes us up to Wrathful. That's going to give us some ongoing bonuses going forward, which is pretty sweet. So we're jumping from 100 to 130, which is going to gain us an additional action point. So we're now up to 5. Also, our attacks now are doing 2 additional damage beyond whatever the weapon actually states. And you can also see here a jump in 5 health, which we desperately needed here. We're at 12. We're going to jump up to 17. Now, as tempted as I am to turn around and take a shot at this spider right here, let's just go ahead and ignore it and use the rest of our actions, all 5, to go right up and take that loot token. When you land on a loot, you simply take a loot card off the top of the deck, and we got ourselves Hook. This one says, an ancient lightweight hook, expertly crafted from metal, as light as rope, yet as strong as titanium. It attaches to obstacles like walls or columns. We definitely have columns in this map, allowing the user to quickly drag themselves towards it and reposition strategically. The unit can move in a direct line of up to 4 tiles to an adjacent tile of the obstacle, providing the path is possible. Or provided the path is possible. So that's pretty awesome. So essentially, let's say hypothetically I was sitting here, I can actually drag myself over top of this area here. Now, as right now, there's only 2 columns left right here and here, so the hook could be used to attach to a column to help me drag myself closer to it and get adjacent to it quicker for less actions, which is pretty awesome. All my actions have been spent, down to 0. Now the last enemy is going to go. It's a spider, it has 3 actions, it's trying to get as close to me as possible, so it'll simply just go 1, 2, and 3. Now at this point, you'll see an event is happening as we move into wave number 9 here, and it states an emergency mechanism opens a random door. Roll a die to see which one is going to open. So door-wise, we've got door 1 is at the very top north section. To the east, we have door 3, and to the west is door 2. So let's see how this pans out, and you'll see the die rolls 1 and 2 is going to be door 1, 3 and 4 is door 2, 5 and 6 is door 3. That worked out awesome. The door that we're closest to actually ends up being 1. But as you can see, there's a lot more going on inside of this section of the wave. It's not only the event happening, but also some spawning of enemies. Based on our level of difficulty, we're bringing 3 enemies into the fray. That's pretty wild. We have 2 fire spiders that showed up, and a fly showed up right behind us. Now with the door open, we have an opportunity to actually win the mission. So essentially right now with the 8 actions that I now have, thanks to me being in the Wrathful temper state, I could just use actions to get out of the door and consider this a win right now. But again, if you're playing this one in a campaign mode, you might want to challenge yourself using challenges, which are over here. And when you go for a challenge, you have additional waves that come in. And then at that point, you're trying to accomplish certain tasks. So for instance, you might have to kill all the spiders. If you do, it'll provide a pulse grenade, for instance. And if you're playing campaign mode and you go for those additional challenges, that's extra equipment or extra things you can use as you progress through the campaign. So running out right away, you might be doing really good in one mission and want to stick around a little longer to try to bank some extra stuff, or you might want to get out because you're barely surviving by the skin of your teeth. Now, as you know, I'm playing a one-shot here, so my concern is just my own survival and trying to get out. But if you're playing campaign mode, you're thinking more long-term. You're also trying to accumulate more credits. You're trying to accumulate more skill points. You're trying to basically bulk up your character as the campaign progresses. And all of this is detailed inside the rulebook. You'll find it also on the campaign pages. It's all already been written out. So you can actually check that out. And of course, tweaks and things may happen. It's not in its final state. But there's a number of different things that are really cool around strategy in terms of what you want to do in a given mission and try and accomplish. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn around. I'm going to take a shot here at the fly right next to me. We're going to use Darkstorm, so that's going to knock me down from 8 down to 5 in terms of action points. We'll go ahead and make the roll and see what kind of a hit we get on it. We got a 5. That's a critical hit. That's going to be 8 damage. Now, as of right now, I'm probably going to stop right there because I want to keep the actions. I need to go 1, 2, 3, and through the door to get out of this mission successfully. So I'm going to choose to book it out of the mission just like that. Also worth mentioning, you remember I had armor at the very beginning of this mission. And of course, that got depleted as I was attacked initially. You'll be able to recoup your armor as you go from mission to mission and recharge it. And there's also a varying number of other different combat situations beyond this one. Of course, this being very much a light look at the combat, there's a number of other layers of combat you'll run into with different types of enemy, different types of gear, all kinds of things to explore in this one. So after spending 4 action points, I run out of the door and get out of the room just before the spiders overwhelm me. Again, this was on the simpler level of difficulty. So you can see I was doing fairly well overall. If I had ticked this up to the next level, things would have gotten even more dicey for me as the damage being dealt to me would have been harder and harsher. And of course, you go to nightmare difficulty, you're really going to get hammered. And that, my friends, wraps up my look at Warleague, coming to Kickstarter very soon. If it hasn't already, you'll find a link to it in the pinned comment and video description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have any comments or questions around this one. And as always, keep on rolling solo.